Welcome to NewsEye, the review, where in this edition we'll be talking about experimentation in Pakistani music, which could just be the formula for success today. We're joined in the studio by Mohammad Ali Sheikhi, an artist who can be attributed with bringing pop music to Pakistan. And no one can forget your hugely successful single, Tere Ishq Mein Jo Doob Gaya. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's better known like Huma Huma.
Okay, and we're also joined by a DJ and musician Faisal Beg, who studied music at Berklee College of Music. Faisal, you've been experimenting with electronic music in Pakistan, and you are at present the biggest name in this genre. Thanks for coming in. And Nadeem Paracha, thanks very much for coming in, a renowned culture critic. Now let's begin by talking about how Pakistani music can succeed today and why experimentation is actually the name of the game. Mr. Sheikhi, is that the formula for success for music in Pakistan today and musicians?
Well, if you think that my experiment was a success, then I would say, okay, in some tangent of music, you see, music is a very wide vista kind of a thing.
But what I was talking about is you know, the way Nazia and Zohaib Hassan, for example, broke boundaries with their music. Even Nusrat Fateh Ali, you know, when he did combinations with Peter Gabriel, and he did break boundaries, you know, and Western audiences absolutely loved his music and love his music. Why is that? Is it because of the fusion and experimentation that actually works with Pakistani music today?
Well, if you see the video, it's very conspicuous, you see. The costumes, the traditional dresses, the folk music coming in, that is the folk music is the music of the soul. It's your own soul. That's why it's immediately accepted. Now, when we bring in the Western side of the music, the appropriate Western side of music, and blend it along with the folk, and we bring a finished product which is acceptable to the audience, and the audience likes it for so many reasons, it becomes a hit. It's obvious, but it has to be done properly. The proper Western essence of music has to be selected.
And you just said exactly what the audience likes. And Faisal, turning to you, you've played trance and house music when it was underground, but now you're a big success. How did that happen, and how are audiences more accepting now? Of course, the trance music phenomena worldwide has just taken on, but you started small, and your music is very popular.
I started really small. I started playing for like 6-7 people in my studio, and then being invited to play at parties. Now, you just continuing this conversation, it's not only about the music or the genres that you present, it is also about a newer palette of sound that you introduce. For example, for the Western audience, to have a Massive Attack song was completely normal. To have Nusrat Ali's vocals on it was a new color added. So that fusion is not just the musical genre, it is also of new sounds which you've never heard before.
And yours is about electronic music.
Absolutely, it's all about sound. So for me, it's not about the composition, it's not really about the melodies or lyrics. It is about giving the audience newer sounds, newer tones which they haven't used before.
How do you work on that?
Basically, electronic music is music coming from machines. And it doesn't necessarily have to be trance, it doesn't have to be progressive house. Depeche Mode is an electronic band. A lot of the rock from the 70s and the 60s that you hear has a lot of experimentation and a lot of synthesized work. So all of that, Pink Floyd uses a lot of electronic elements there as well. So I think, you know, the balance between a new sound being introduced into a certain culture, if it's accepted, it's basically just widening your palette of choices.
And Nadeem, after we saw the huge success of Coke Studio taking off from what Faisal said, this fusion of ethnic and Western, if I can put it as that, is that like a modern successful formula, perhaps working for Pakistani musicians?
I think it's getting much more space than it used to. Otherwise, as Mr. Sheikhi said, in 1985, I think it was, Sheikhi Saab did it with Alan Fakir, Huma Huma.
Yes, he did.
It was exactly the same thing, folk and pop coming together. Janoon did it throughout the 90s, one way or the other. And I think the difference is that now we have better facilities, more media time, and more budgets, I think, more funding.
And is it change perhaps in the music industry, and Nadeem, that question to you, that actually works for music to sell? Because today, you know, music is not, albums are not being made, distributors are not coming forth and taking on musicians. Why is that? Is it because they don't want to take a risk looking at the change, looking at experimentation?
I don't know, maybe it's this phase. I think it's all over the world. I think the trend is global. The trend is global. We cannot say what's...
slump in sales.
Exact, slump in sales because of all sorts of reasons which are very obvious these days. And I think, first of all, like, we cannot say which sort of genres are popular these days internationally. We cannot pinpoint, you know. Music has become so wide that we can't, there are genres, there are sub-genres, and then on. But the Coke Studio experiment, if you would like to call it experiment, yes, it's a success, but I would say it's done very well, and it's packaged very well, but it's always been there in our music industry. It's always been there.
When you say it's always been there, what do you mean? What's always been
like
there?
I said, like it's been done, like Saira Kazmi as a producer.
The experimentation.
Yeah. Janoon was all about it, called it Sufi rock in their time, and other musicians were trying to do it as well. In fact, I remember in the mid-90s, late 90s, Salman Ahmed played guitar with Nusrat Fateh Ali.
Yes, yes.
You know? So it's been around, but what I think Coke Studio has done is it sort of gathered it and gave it a solid platform.
Okay, so when we come back from this short break, we'll be talking more about experimentation in Pakistani music. Just stay with us for that.